Today, I want to talk about the importance of setting goals, something that for me personally, I feel like is really what started to change my life. The first time that I wrote my goals out was probably around summer of 2024. I listened to a Brian Tracy video slash, I guess it's not a podcast, but it was kind of like a podcast because it was long. Um, Explaining why goal setting was so important, and I decided to start doing that day, and it's helped me a lot. This past year and a half, 2025, I wrote out my first, like the first time ever that I actually sat down and wrote down like my yearly goals. Obviously, 2025 for me personally has been the best year of my life, and I'm trying to make 2026 the best year of my life as well. I also have a new set of goals. Last year, I probably finished like 70 to 80% of the goals that I set myself out to do. So, today I kind of want to talk about the importance of actually writing it down and having something that you can look at. I know me personally, I try to look at my goals at least once a week. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but once a week, once every 10 days, just to refresh your memory, just to get that, going in your head, like what you're trying to do this year. Remember that Father Time's undefeated. You literally can't stop the clock. Every day just keeps stacking on top of the other. So clearly you need direction. So that brings me to the top 10 reasons why I believe you should be setting goals and actually writing them down. Not just, I'm going to keep it in my head. No, your memory is horrible. You need to have this written down somewhere in your house that every once in a while you can look at. So 10 will be direction and purpose. Goals give you your life clear direction, basically, of where you're trying to go. And it helps you understand what you're working towards. If you have a clear vision of what you want, if you can imagine it up here in your mind, that's the first step of actually moving towards something that you want. And it's not like the law of attraction. Like, it is part of that, but in reality, if you can have a vision of it, it's already halfway true in a way. At least that's the way I look at it. It clearly helps you align the things that you're doing, and it'll work you towards that goal, right? And basically all your decisions should be aligned with those goals, especially if you're, like I said, reviewing them every week or 10 days, or let's just say every month. Seeing, did I work towards this properly this month? Did I get done what I was supposed to get done this month? Did I move or did I progress towards these goals this month? That's why it's so important to keep them, in front of you, in sight, so you can keep holding yourself accountable. Number 9 for me would be motivation. Every time you look at these goals, you get a little bit more motivated to work towards those things. At least that's what happens with me. And it really helped last year, because I remember like one of my goals last year was double my income, and I did it. But when I was working DoorDash, I was making like 30 something $1,000 a year, and this year I doubled it. Well, I guess it was last year, 2025, but you get my point. And that was one of my goals that I wrote out, so I was able to check that out. And you don't even realize the satisfaction that I got when I was able to cross that out, like as something that I did. It helped me look at it every once in a while, every month, like, I'm not meeting my sales quota. Like, look at what you're trying to do this year. Remember that. There's a higher purpose. Especially if I wrote it down, like I just feel like if I wrote it down, I commit to it. It's on paper. And so I have to use it as motivation now to actually get it done. Number 8 would be progress measurement. So because you have goals, you can actually see if you're progressing towards them or if you're not, especially if they're clearly defined goals with stuff that you can measure. It just gives you concrete benchmarks of what you're trying to achieve, right? Make sure that most of your goals are trackable. For example, one of my goals last year was to weigh 165 by the end of the year. At the start of last year, I probably weighed like 150. And to end this last year, 2025, I weighed 161 or something like that. So I didn't quite get to what I wanted, which was 165, which was my ideal weight. And, I wasn't able to cross that off, but I kept it in sight, in front of me throughout the whole year. And the reality of the situation is that I know exactly why I didn't get to that weight. It's because of my eating habits. I'm still a work in progress. I'm not starting this channel to try to tell you guys like I'm perfect and this is what you guys should do. Like, no, this is just my personal experience, and hopefully it helps somebody else achieve something great, and you really have to be able to show your progression. And if you can measure it, obviously it's better. Reason number 7, it really holds you accountable when you write it down and you're looking at it. Like I said, keep looking at it and you're like, oh, wow, like I haven't been doing this, or I've been slacking on this, or I've only been concentrated on this specific goal, but what about all these other goals? Because, it's not only life goals, fitness goals, work goals, like every type of goals that you can think of. You have to actively be trying to achieve those things. And I feel like once it's written down, you're held accountable to a certain degree of discipline, specifically because you don't want to let yourself down in a way, right? Because in reality, though, the only reason you should be doing this self-development is for you and nobody else. I always like to say, if I can take care of, like, I'll take care of myself if you take care of you. Like, I won't have to worry about you if I know you're taking care of yourself, and you won't need to worry about me because I'm taking care of myself. So in a way, it's a little selfish putting yourself in front of most people, but at the end of the day, it's your life, and all these people are not going to give a fuck the day you die, or they might be dead too. So, fuck it. Reason number 6, I would say, is it really helps with the personal growth. It just pushes you to achieve the goals that you set yourself out to. It really shows you the new skills and knowledge and capabilities you literally need to acquire to achieve these goals. And so even though there's a bigger goal, there's micro goals that are attached to that bigger goal, and it helps you break down everything. Really helps you grow in other areas of your life, not just in one specific area. Like, for example, when I started going to the gym, which was about 2 years ago at the start of 2024, that journey, those first 6 months of consistently trying to go to the gym, really helped me get disciplined in other areas of my life. Not food-wise, not eating-wise. Like I said, I'm still trying to work on that. But I was able to be more disciplined in, my work, my sales job, getting sharper at the thing that's actually feeding me, because I was able to feel like I had control over this one specific thing. Like, oh, look, I was able to do this. I'm still disciplined enough to be able to get this done. I do this when I don't want to do it. I get it done because I have to get it done, not because I want to get it done. It's not a choice. It's either you do it or you don't. Grow personally, not only in that specific goal that I wanted to achieve in 2024, right? Which was, start building that habit of going to the gym and gaining weight and gaining muscle. Yeah. So personal growth, it's very important. It's part of setting your goals. All these goals that you're setting is to improve. So even if it's something like taking away instead of adding, like, oh, this year I'm going to stop doing this, or this year I'll cut that out of my life. That's still making you better, even though it's not adding anything to your life. It's more like subtracting. That's important too, and you have to be able to know what is hurting your development. The fifth reason, in my opinion, would be it helps you really focus in on what you want and what you believe should happen if all my inputs are in my control. If I put in the amount of time that I believe is sufficient to get this done, then the output doesn't really matter. Like, I hope the output is what I believe all this input is gonna, turn into. But the reality of the situation is I can only control what I put in. Like, for example, in sales, the amount of messages I'm sending, the amount of calls I'm taking, the amount of visits I'm, scheduling. All these things go into that, and it really helps you focus, and you focus on the time and energy it takes to really get this done. And it really helps filter out distractions, like a lot. Especially if you know exactly what you want and you need and are willing to sacrifice, what you have to get done. Fourth reason would be productivity. When you know specifically what you're aiming for, you literally waste less time on everything else in your life that's not pushing you towards that. It really clears your mind off of all this other things that, obviously go into it. And in your life, it happens to everybody. It really helps you realize specifically what's moving you towards the goal and what's not. And you try to prioritize these things that I know if I do the input, if I put myself in the best position, the universe will see that I'm putting myself in that position, and hopefully, I get the result that I want, even though it's not a complete 100% guarantee that will happen. But like I said, I can control the input, and so we'll do that, control the input, and let the cards may fall as they may, Third reason would be to build confidence. Every time you check mark one of your goals, I promise you there's no other feeling. There's really no other feeling. For me personally, I want to feel like I'm moving towards something in this life. Like I actually have something that I'm shooting for, I'm aiming at. I have a clear set of goals that I know in the moment that I achieve them will make me feel happy, but it's just that moment. I understand that there's more to come after that, but these are just steps and goals that I have to take out before I can realize my next goals, right? And it's hard sometimes because you have to give yourself credit. There's goals that you've already achieved that you clearly said that, oh, if I did this, would make me very happy. But, sometimes you get to the top of that mountain and you enjoy the moment for as long as it lasts. And then you look around and you go, this is it. Maybe there's a taller mountain. Where's the taller mountain? What valley do I have to go down to get up a bigger mountain, right? Because what goes up must come down. So there's always going to be those thoughts that hold you back. But if you have a clear set of goals and you're working on your input, you should have the confidence, especially once you start seeing results, to push yourself and get it done. Confidence is a major key to people's success. If you have no confidence in yourself, you're probably never going to get anything done. And that's just the sad truth. So you have to believe that this universe is working for you and that you have the skills and the knowledge to get it done. And even if you don't, you have to have the confidence that you will learn them and you will get it done. No matter how long it might take, you have to believe and have the confidence. And how do you get confidence? By seeing the results. You know, sometimes that's why it's so hard when you start something, because you don't see progress until time has passed, right? It's not like an overnight thing. You need those confidence boosts, along the journey to be able to get it done. And I believe that with the goals that you're writing down and checking off, that builds confidence and that gives you the motivation at the end of the day to keep going. Yeah. The second to last would probably be the fulfillment. Like I said, there's nothing like checking that off. Boom, I did it. It's right here. I got it done. It's over with, you know? And if you have clear goals, clear measurable goals, you're going to be able to be doing that more. And it just gives you a sense of fulfillment that nothing like it in life actually gives you that feeling of I did it. You know, I set out to do something and I did it. You know, obviously the moment passes eventually, but in that moment, man, fuck, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. The number one reason I believe it's one of the most important things you can do is to set goals is basically just putting it out there. It's like you're writing it down and putting yourself out there, letting it to be known to everybody that you're trying to do this. Obviously, not everyone's going to see your goals, your set of goals, and you don't need to show them to people, obviously, but in a way, it's a way of showing the universe that you're for real and that you want these things. And obviously, it's up to you to build towards these things, but if you can show the universe what you want, if you can clearly see it in your mind, I promise you're one step closer into pulling that into reality. The energy that you put into these things, into these goals and micro goals that you need to achieve the bigger goals, is very, very intense. So please make sure that you're setting goals and, you know, checking them off. The confidence that you'll get from that, the fulfillment that you'll feel. Like I said, it's only for a moment. Understand that the time, it'll pass, and there's other things that you're going to want to achieve once you get these goals. It's important to see like what every year you thought was important, and like in 10 years from now, I'll look back at the goals that I had for this year, and I'm going to think, wow, why did I think that was important? Or, you know, why wouldn't I think this was more important? Or why wouldn't I write this goal down then? You know, but everything at due time is what I believe. And yeah, I hope you like this video. Give it a like and subscribe, and I'll be back for next time. Peace out.